Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next session in our Retail Strategy and Planning series, Rethinking the Role of In-Store Tech, how to build a flexible ecosystem that builds shopper trust and maximizes ROI. I'm Adam Blair, the editor of Retail Touchpoints, and I'll be moderating today's session. Gone are the days where consumers went to stores for fun or to just get out of the house. COVID-19 has encouraged everyone to rethink both the number of stores they visit and the amount of time they spend in each location. Even after the pandemic passes, this could mean big changes for brick-and-mortar and experiential retail in particular. The new shopper experience will need to emphasize both safety and purposeful engagement, and the digital and in-store technology that's used will need to both build consumers' trust and maximize retailers' ROI in ways that are engaging for all stages of the customer journey. The tech will also need to be optimized for new business models and experiences like curbside pickup and contactless commerce, and it'll need to be adaptable to new customer behaviors, state and local regulations, and business realities. For those of you who may be new to Retail Touchpoints, here's a quick overview. We're an all-digital media company publishing 2 weekly email newsletters, daily news, special reports, and multimedia presentations. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to our weekly newsletter. We welcome input and feedback through traditional means, phone and email, as well as social media, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. Our website is www.retailtouchpoints.com. Retail Touchpoints also hosts events such as our popular Retail Innovation Conference. This year it's taking place virtually on October 13th and 14th. RIC 2020 will feature leading execs from brands like Party City, Facebook, and Walgreens. We'll be sharing use cases and strategies to help you secure a strong future. You can visit the RIC website to learn more and to register to attend. For today's presentation, we're using the On24 platform. Right now, you should be viewing the On24 dashboard, which shows the live viewing screen. By clicking on the questions widget on the upper left-hand side of the screen, you can type in questions during the live presentation and press submit. You can also find a widget named Resources on the right side of your screen. Here you can download assets that our presenters have provided. All you have to do is click on the resource and it will automatically download for you. Today's session is slated to last about 45 minutes and there'll be time for live questions at the end. We'll get to as many questions as we can, and if we don't get to yours, we'll pass them along to the speakers. I encourage you to submit questions at any time during the presentation. Additionally, today's session is being recorded and all attendees will receive an archive link to the presentation to go back and review or to share with your colleagues. Our speakers today are Beth Warren, who's the SVP of Marketing and Retail Practice at Creative Realities, and Parrish Chapman of Samsung Electronics America. At Creative Realities, Beth leads clients and teams in pursuit of persuasive, technology-driven ecosystems that add purpose, relevance, and value to the customer journey, specific to a branded retail environment. When the industry came to a halt at the onset of COVID, she helped Creative Realities pivot and bring to market a thermal device and AI platform. And now she guides clients in the industry on how to apply technology to build trust as the world reopens. Her role on the board of the Digital Signage Federation provides an ideal platform to inspire best practices for our new normal. Parrish Chapman provides expertise in executive management that's focused on digital transformation within retail at Samsung Electronics America. He's committed to human-centered design, allowing the end client to observe business improvements that span people, process, and technology. Welcome to both speakers. I'm looking forward to the presentation.
Thank you, Adam, very much. I appreciate the time today. And really the main points of discussion today for our conversation is how do we move forward safely with technology in retail, but more importantly, how do we understand ROI and build trust across that journey? So like Adam was saying, it's a new world. In the agenda today, we really want to address these main topics. Today's climate, key trends, technology-inspired journey, and how we inspire and trust, but also build profits and ROI. The new norm, we all hear about this, and the pandemic has accelerated technology. But I like to look at this in a very simple way when we look at the pandemic. Let's take a complex situation and try to simplify it so we know how to move forward safely as businesses and business owners and technology. The hammer was put down when the pandemic first started. We had to slow the growth, protect our people, and really understand what the next 3 to 7 weeks during the pandemic, or really 3 months, look like. Now we're in the dance phase. And the key thing in the dance phase is how do we stay open, how do we reopen, and how do we reimagine our businesses to the curb when need be, if we have to. So a lot of the solutions, technology today we're going to be talking about is during the dance phase and what happens after the pandemic. We know it's difficult. States are reopening and we're monitoring this. And this is a slide to say we feel your pain. We understand that all states have different metrics of when you can open, how many people you're allowed in your business, and the solution and the ROI we're going to talk about today really allows the key word moving forward in retail, which is technology flexibility. We feel your pain. We know that it's stressful. We know that clients are stressful. And as Adam mentioned on the front end of the conversation, we know people are shopping with a purpose. They're going for a replenishment. They're going to solve a key problem, and then they're leaving retail. But while they're there, how do we make that journey even more exciting for them while also protecting? We know this is a problem that will last to 2022. A recent study by Harvard really acknowledged this. So the key words we mentioned during the dance phase, flexibility and understanding and ROI, are more important than ever. But we know we have to go from manual to automated to say we're open and safe. And we understand this. And so the solutions and the categories we're going to talk about today in the experience are very scalable. From small, medium to large retailers, everybody can enjoy these technologies and really understand how to scale them and understand the ROI. We know that the business has been changing for years. We know that your customer is looking for an omni-channel, online, offline experience. But really, what does that mean? Before the pandemic, Samsung really specialized in having an experience that was immersive. Now we have to look at brick and mortar having convenience that the online shopper is used to and add that to the brick and mortar retail offline. What does that mean, really, the convenience of retail, a brick and mortar? We know that the buyers' habits are changing. This is very obvious, and this has been escalated. And what a lot of clients are telling us is the technology they plan to spend 12 to 16 months is now really being shortened to a 6-month cycle to really compete in this new world. And I think that this is a comfort slide to let you know that Samsung and our partners are looking to the future to really take these strategies and protect the business. So if you're an existing customer of Samsung, how can we consult and really offer new solutions to meet these new metrics as the shopper changes its habit from buying online and picking up in store or lockers? And how do we use the display technology to really change in this new world? But who is the modern shopper? And with that, I'd like to invite Beth in to really educate us. Beth?
Yeah. So the modern shopper is exactly who we think they are. They are the millennial, and they are Gen Z. And I just want to take a moment and talk about how important these two groups are to the demography in the U.S. and to the consuming public. Millennials represent the largest consumer cohort ever. It's 24% of the population. So they're here with us as they age. They're going to be staying, and their habits are going to be changing as they age. So it's important to continue to connect with them in ways that are meaningful and relevant, but at the same time, make sure that we're adjusting our digital practices and our retail strategies to accommodate and to include another really important segment, which is the Gen Zs. And they bring a force field of might and moxie right along with the millennials. So understanding their mindset and their values and taking these insights and really taking them to heart can help us lean in and create experiences that are meaningful for this group and can inspire how they shop with us and the ways in which they do that. Super important. So I've plucked off a couple of the attributes that I think are the most compelling and really give us fertile ground to take seriously. And the first is this notion. These groups combined tend to be less acquisitive and more inquisitive. So what that means is experience matters more than things. This is a group that's not about collecting and, shoving things in their closet. And because of economic environment uncertainties, they don't hold the same kinds of dreams for big ticket purchases like cars and homes and, luxury goods, let's say, as previous segments and previous generations. But they do invest in group activities, in learning new skills, and even social action. So the more we recognize that they move as a community and to set this retail stage for that, the more likely they'll be inclined to choose to snap and to socialize. So that's a really important trend now for retail. Individuality is prized by these segments. This is a group that celebrates their uniqueness. They want their individuality to be reflected back, and they expect technology experiences and sort of their retail destinations to reflect that. So one size fits all will probably not work as well as perhaps in the past. Personalization is super important. And it's also important to note that the Gen Z, which does make up now 21% of our US population, they are the most diverse cohort, the most diverse segment in our country. So this is going to be even more meaningful if we want to make meaningful connections with this group. Digital first brands dominate their view and their dashboard. And this is simply because digital first brands are native. They speak the language of technology by virtue of the fact that they're doing it online first. And when they go to brick and mortar, when these brands like, for example, Dirty Lemon, as you see here, which is at Hudson Yards, when they go to retail, they're doing it in disruptive ways. So what they're doing is they're sort of raising the bar for more conventional and traditional brands, more channel-based offline brands. And they're challenging us to think about tech in new ways. So this trend is sort of here to stay. It's expected, it's native, and it really does need to inspire us to think about the way in which tech operates at brick and mortar. Authenticity and transparency go hand in hand. So brands like Eloquy, for example, were one of the first out there to reflect back in their content user-generated people, the content that's user-generated and models who are real life versus those that are probably more figments of our imagination. So a lot of brands have been taking cues from these pace setters. But beyond that, just being transparent in practices, from pricing to sustainability, there's really this desire for brands to do good, to do well. And you can't fool this audience. They're hip to this and they expect it. So using our communications materials and our technology to be able to bring authentic and transparent content is really important for us. I love this one because it disputes the the notion of the retail apocalypse. I don't believe that for a moment because millennials and Gen Zs, Pew Research has shown that they prefer brick and mortar for pleasure shopping. And that's great because they are, they seek discovery, and play is really, really important to them. This opens up a whole sort of new world of how we can utilize spatial design, visual merchandising, and technology to create immersive experiences that are memorable and actually are more impressive than even the product itself. That's another insight that's important, and I think it's why some brands that we're familiar with on the landscape, from Nike to Adidas to to beauty brands, really put a lot of investment into their innovation labs and experience stores, and that I think we're only going to see more of that versus less. There might be fewer stores, but certainly they'll be richer and they'll be more imaginative. At the same time, this group is fluid. They're not channel focused like our marketers are. They expect technology to be there and to react when they want us to. And that's a key insight that we really have to take seriously. And brands like Sephora have really yielded to this and have done a great job at the nuanced interplay between on and offline, which Parrish spoke about. It's really important. For example, when you have your Sephora app on your phone and you go into a location, it welcomes you, it responds to you, and it will guide you through the shopping process. This is one of many examples of marketers or retailers who have done it right, and who are remembering that unless it's omni-channel, it creates friction. They seek places that embrace community. This might seem obvious, but it's a really important one, especially for our heritage brands that are more traditional in nature or who have started their journey offline. This is an example of a shop I think has done a really, really good job. This is Chanel in the Soho in New York City. They have kind of reinvented the experience of their brand to appeal to the younger, more modern shopper. They've created a beauty space that really serves as a destination, as a community hub. You see lockers there, you see comfortable space where people can come in and they can store their things, they can have a coffee or a tea, and they're checked in through their mobile device. And their mobile device guides them through the entire process, and it's all experience-based. So it's beauty shopping and beauty experience from top to tail. So they're really setting. I think they're raising the bar and they're setting the pace on what this means to really invoke local and bring people together around community-based experiences. This one is really interesting because this group is squarely responsible for the acceleration of mobile commerce. And it's such an important notion. You know, that mobile phone, we shouldn't think of it as a way to compete in brick and mortar, but how do we integrate mobile seamlessly into the store? And if we do this in reverse, we're kind of making it difficult for ourselves. So how do we fit in the way they use mobile and not the other way around? So we continue to challenge ourselves on making sure that mobile is relevant within the confines of brick and mortar. Small example is texting versus email. It's just sort of a way to get attention and to get people engaged at the time that they come to their visit. And lastly, making every touch point count really does depend on how purposeful, how individualized, how transparent, how fluid, and how community-centric we choose to be. So making deliberate strategic choices to elevate our touch points and to be able to, create compelling experiences by understanding what's true for Gen Zs and millennials, that will only make for a more successful, sort of ROI for us, and also make it more authentic and meaningful for those we are really trying to engage. So with that, I will turn it back to Parrish.
Hey, thank you very much, Beth. So at this point, Adam talked about on the front end with retail touch points, how uniquely different the environment has changed. Beth gave us some really good insight to the shopper, but how do we start? How do we, as a retailer, how do we know how to move forward? How do we go from now to tomorrow safely to where we understand ROI to make sure that our investments we're making will yield the kind of results we need to move forward in this new world? So now, I challenge you to stay with us. We're going to be talking about how we really do that and what customers have seen as a value when we're consulting with them to really help out with this. But first of all, let's talk about the new environment we have with safe shopping. And I want to get away from talking about a pandemic, but just safety and protecting human assets, right? And what does that mean with shopping? So these solutions must have foster confidence both with our employees, management, and our customers. We must reinforce, touchless or contactless environment, minimize physical touch points, and reduce their spread. But more importantly, I talked about this on the front end, solutions have to be flexible to meet this changing world we're in. And so with that, some of these solutions we're going to talk about really do meet these standards, but they do a lot more than just a safe shopping experience. But we know from feedback from partners and clients, we cannot add technology without having the right support and ROI. And we mentioned these words throughout the presentation today, but really we should be concerned about how do we support these from a field op, procurement and lead time. How do they play into the existing technology stack you have? What type of value is Samsung adding? If you're already a Samsung customer, how can we bolt on these technologies to have a better ROI? And we can do that, right? But also, how do we reduce the number of vendors you're having in your business to really make your life easier? So what makes Samsung then that rich technology partner? As we spoke about all these trends and how do we put it to use? So really, I think this slide really just hits home the ability to have a nice ecosystem. Adam mentioned it with retail touch points on the front end. The ecosystem is very important. So when you look at what Samsung is doing across all these categories, the idea that if you buy a Samsung display and you have some of our software, our mobile devices will work with that display. And what about on the consumer journey with the refrigerator? The consumer starts the shopping at home, online. What can we do with Samsung ads to have an ad on the refrigerator in the morning when people start their day? So just want to say, think differently about Samsung and how we can consult and really help your business as we move forward. And then we'll talk about this ecosystem more in detail. But more importantly, I want to make this conversation very simply today. There's so much information in the press. There's so much information that we can receive nowadays. And I think this is why retail touchpoints is so important to all of us, that let's simplify the conversation and treat your business, your retail brick and mortar, like a website. So if you think about a website, when you're online, you have a home page. Well, the home page to a retail facility is your entrance. Let's call that stage one. What are we doing with display, software, and technology to really draw people into that business, to create that experience, that funnel, to move them richer and closer in that environment to the buy decision? What are we doing on the product pages online? But for you, it's visual merchandising. You can compete with online and offline by being able to touch, smell the brand, and have a physical relationship. And it really is a wonderful situation to be in right now. The fitting room, the cart. And so what we're going to talk about, checkout, mobile POS. The next couple of slides are kind of table setting to where we're building this ecosystem. But again, I want you to let you know you can start small and build your ecosystem out and your solutions. You don't have to buy it all at once. You can test the waters and really see what's right for your brand. But again, we can have all this data now. Instead of having a click, we can have humans in the physical retail space, and then we can change that behavior as they're buying during the buy cycle. The POS, point of sale, is history, but now we have AI to really change those behaviors while they're shopping. So how do we build this trust with you, our client, consult with you, but also with your customer? Well, there's a lot of ways we can do this, and this is where your brand has to make decisions based on your brand's image and what you want to have with your clients. So this is just a slide to let you know that we have different solutions to provide a smart, safe environment. We can monitor temperatures with different assets. We can have a stranger mode. So at this point in time, you're saying in Paris, we have to worry about PII compliance. These are all ability to have stranger mode where we don't know who's there. A lot of these systems are great for temperature checking in the back office as well to protect employees. Samsung has a rich line of solutions with our partners like CRI to really monitor social distancing, temperature in your environment. And the one thing you have to decide as a brand, do we want to have this forward facing, or do we want to have it hidden and we monitor and take corrective action as we move forward? And I'll make a note to you that we have battery powered displays and software abilities now. The main thing we always hear in retail is, where am I going to plug it in, right? And so now we have that problem solved too. Also, part of the solution on the safe shopping is hand sanitation. And we now have a hand sanitizer with a built-in 13-inch display that it really reminds your customers before they shop, touch in that rich retail environment to have clean hands. So really you're providing that environment that's safe, but also reminding people you're a great brand, a healthy brand. And we have different configurations of this, just as I mentioned. But again, when I showed you the first slide about all the different technologies that Samsung played in, you now can add smart watches, like I'm wearing today, to notify managers if there is an issue with our system, if there's too many people in the environment. You can use our smartphones to have one-on-one assisted shopping, endless aisle. You don't have to have that from day one, but I just want to challenge you as you move forward, we can help you scale your business and add to that ecosystem safely to really develop that ROI. And now you're asking, well, Parrish, how do we really prove our ROI? And this is where I need you to really pay attention and really understand it really has changed. The cost has come down to do this. And your physical retail store can be your website. And here's how it happens. We have two sensors. You don't have to use both sensors. You can use one if you so wish, but let's use two for a talking point today. One is a sensor called Fast Sensor. The other is a thermal sensor from Blue Force. And we have these where they work with our displays, our large format displays, to where we can monitor activity inside your retail location like a website. And here's what we can do. By using the Fast Sensor, which is a radio receiver, any type of device that somebody has on and it's sending out a radio signal, headphones, wireless headphones, laptop, tablet, watches, cell phone, whatever it may be, we can know that they're in the proximity. Now, it's totally PPI compliant, PD compliant. This is a global solution that meets the highest security standards. It's non-opt-in. So we want to be sure that I let you know from the IT side of the business, this is totally a non-opt-in solution that we're not collecting data. So we can know how many people are walking by the facility, when a device walks into the location, and then we can have a conversion rate at the front door. Then with the thermal camera at the front door that's hidden, we can check temperatures. Now, once we check the temperatures, we can notify the staff there may be a fever by chimes, changing the displays in the location, or some type of really a physical stamp on the display that lets the in-store staff know they may have a problem. So once we know that device is in the store, what happens? Well, we'll know if that device comes back to the store. But let's say there's a person has a multiple device on them. We can tell by how close those devices are together if it's a singular person or a family. So now we'll know if somebody's shopping as a family or an individual. Pack versus a herd mentality. So now what we can do is we know how close they are together. So we'll know if the store becomes very overcrowded potentially to a standard. Let's say in New York it's a 20% standard. We can set those metrics automatically, and we can notify the staff either by audible chime or through a mobile device, text or email, that they need to review their crowding metrics in their location. We also can change content by what's happening in the environment automatically. So let's say that I am shopping in the shoe section of the store and I'm there for more than 2 minutes. We can change that content to provide a more personal experience automatically now and create a buy moment that really is amazing. And then we know if Parrish is standing and that device is there for more than 2 minutes, we can notify an associate that there may be a customer there that needs help, but we also can change that data as well. We can know about wait times at the POS system and really understand the content that's being displayed tied into the POS system to understand if the content's being displayed, is it equating to an upside in the basket size or revenue of the business. We can compare different types of content, different colors of clothing or articles, whatever it may be, and then we can have dynamic pricing and really improve the ROI as well of the business. So when you look at all these factors now with these two sensors, it's very scalable. It's very cost effective. And we even have our own LTE network available. So we don't even have to touch the in-store technology package if you so wish. Then the second part of the solution is really staffing improvement. We can monitor the difference between a customer and employee and do AI about what's happening in the store at peak times with people coming in and really adjust the staffing. Or if there is a particular part of the store that we have a certain type of brand that needs a specialization, let's say it's a foundation for makeup, we know that those people will stand in that area on what type of day, and we'll need to have a special person there to really address their needs. So It's safety, to conclude. It provides protection of human assets, and then we're allowed to monetize this environment now like a website and provide you data at the time of buy to really change behavior and to really risk mitigate your business. So reimagining the retail experience, we talked about some trends. We talked about how we can provide that ROI data now and really moving ahead. How do we have touchless retail? And this is just a slide that I want to say we have the ability now to provide all types of different technologies, different size displays and software, from a 13-inch to a very large 98-inch display to our LED. And I don't want to get into that today. I just want to give you comfort to know that if you have a question, reach out to one of your partners, CRI or Samsung representative, and more than likely we've had a problem, we've solved a problem in the past, and we can build really a digital strategy, a content strategy that really does honor your brand. And really we can replace paper and have limited contact with RFID sensors from a whole host of opportunities with our solutions now. And then we're even looking at how do we protect the last mile? And this is where we're getting very creative using our software and our displays and our different relationships. For example, this is a solution using Cisco WebEx and soon others. So let's say you're a beauty advisor in a store and you wanted to have a one-on-one session with a customer who's at home. You can do this with the Flip 2 product. And what's amazing is you can have a one-on-one beauty session and annotate on the screen at the same time and provide that one-on-one service like the person is in the physical brick-and-mortar store. So we're doing a reverse to what online has been doing to retail. We now can reverse back out, right? And so it really does provide that security of really being able to reach out to clients on a one-on-one to really build that trust. But here's something else you can do. You can have a social expert who is trying to train. Let's say we have a new brand launching. They can be in one store, and you can have a live session throughout all your locations now with this person being in New York, for example, and you can have somebody in Omaha, and they can have a live customer experience that really does reduce your cost to have a launch, but also make it feel very personal at the same time.
That hits both community. I was just going to say, Parrish, that hits both community, this need for community, and this need for individuality and personalization at the same time. So it ticks both of those modern shopper needs and wants.
Thank you, Beth. And I think more important, how do we protect and risk mitigate the business? We have, I call it a to the curb programs. We don't have the answers for everything right now in this really unique world we're in. However, we do have partners who are very smart that combine solutions with Samsung. And if we want to move your business to the curb, and if we wanted to fully close your close your lobby, we could put a temporary locker at the front door. We have software with different partners and experiences with our LFD and our technology stack to really move it to the curb. And this is just a head nodding slide that if you're having questions or what the trends are into the curb programs, we really can stretch it to the curb and help out. And we can really take that last mile of your business and offer convenience with lockers. We already mentioned this in the previous slide, but I think the most important thing I want you to come away from this slide today is that don't be concerned about these are too expensive. I don't have the ability to have the technology to do this. We have very simple lockers that have a minimal technology impact to your business, very small lockers that we could customize very inexpensively for your business to put you in the curb and protect the last mile. Just reach out and ask us questions. We really understand this business pretty well, and we can help you. And then also, simple and safe pickup at the curb. Really, Samsung has a large % of the outdoor market when it comes to these technology software and displays, a 90% plus in this business. Really a great service program for these technologies as well. So this is a slide to say if you're thinking about a curb program or displays outside your business, from our outdoor LED to our displays, please reach out to us and we can help you even with our mobile devices. And even the sensors we showed you earlier in the deck that work inside, they also work outside as well. So when you look at Samsung for retail, we tried to start off saying we know the world is changing. You know, Adam did a great job, mentioned 3 or 4 key metrics that we know that are really changing. Beth really talked about the idea of who is the shopper and how we reach them safely. And then we talked about the ROI and how do you start slowly and honor your brand and move to a digital transformation, and then we prove a content strategy. Now we have to tie it all together with software. And I want to challenge you that if you haven't seen Magic Info lately, this is a software that works on our SoC, system on a chip, that has remote access, that you can do everything with the screen remotely. There's a lot of things you can do without having a computer behind the display when you talk about total cost of ownership, and all the support systems that we have. And I don't want to go too deep in this today, but when you talk about cost to start a digital program, maintaining the digital program, and now a content strategy, we want to help you more with the content strategy and risk mitigation than anything else today, right? So if you're using the Magic Info, great. If you have questions, reach out. But if you're using a different content management system, we can still help out with that as well. But I want to let you know we're thinking to the future on how we're a better partner and how we consult with you. So when you look at what we talked about today, to really understand where we're trying to go as a company with our partners and our customers, and utilizing the expertise of retail touchpoints, which we find such a deep value, we want to address health concerns, right? We want to improve your ROI and productivity, not only with human assets, but your technology IT stack. We want to rely on partners like CRI, and thank you, Beth, for being with us today, to really improve that immersive customer experience. But also, we know we have to meet new demands, unexpected demands. And I said flexibility probably 5 or 6 times in this conversation today. And we know we have to be flexible with these integrations and technology. So I really do appreciate you investing time today with Beth and I. And I'll throw it back to Beth if she has anything she would like to end with. Beth?
I cannot even top that, Parrish. Hear, hear. It's a pleasure,
Thank you very much.
and we can support you however is required, for sure, and make our experience, put our experience to work for you. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Well, great. Really, some great practical and fascinating ideas about ways to approach what is a very as people have been saying, a very new world. I wanted to, we have been getting some questions in, and I want to encourage attendees, if you have another question, to please type them in. If we don't get to them in this discussion, we will forward them to the speakers, and they'll be able to respond to you individually. But we do have some questions. I think this one is for Parrish. How do we know if our existing Samsung displays can sync with all these new technologies?
Yeah, Adam, that's a great question. Adam, I think the main thing we'll need to do is have that one-on-one conversation. But as I know today, unless the displays are probably 7 or 8 years old, most of these technologies will sync and work with the Samsung displays. But a call out to us, we can confirm it pretty quickly and really help out that partner or customer with that question.
Okay, and we've got another very specific and practical question. Can you describe the Wi-Fi needs or in-store requirements for data?
Oh, yeah, that's a #1 question for us, right, when we get past the security question, Adam. And so we have the ability to tie into an existing infrastructure. But, Adam, we do know in today's market when POS and mobility of customers are on Wi-Fi, some customers really cringe away from using their existing infrastructure. So we have the ability to tie into their infrastructure if they so wish, but we have an out-of-the-box LTE network that's totally secure that we can add into, that's out of the box and ready to go as well.
Got it. And another question, are these solutions available today? Are these all on the market currently?
Yes, and I think everybody always asks, especially a large company like Samsung, are you showing us stuff that's really not available? Are you teasing us with something that's coming out? All the solutions we talked about today are available today and available to really help out our retailers. And I think the most important thing is reach out to one of your partners and we can consult with you and advise. Even if these aren't the right ones, we want to help.
Okay, great. And this one is a little bit more about some of the process functions that you guys discussed. Can you provide more detail on the ROI methodology and how that content is evaluated?
Oh, yeah. So, a lot of CFOs and CIOs are really challenged by spending money for digital and retail because of the current trends. And so what we really want to do, Adam, is provide that safety net to where we can compare content that's being shown in the retail location with our software and AI and compare it to the POS and do reporting to say A, B. A content was shown, did it relate to a SKU uplift? B content was shown, did it relate to a SKU uplift? And compare those along with some dynamic pricing to really understand the true effect of the retail environment. And then what we can do, Adam, I think this is really amazing. Once we understand that, we then can change those trends to have an impact today in the retail, like you would a website where you show somebody content or do an add-on SKU. We now can do that in retail.
Great. Okay. Well, unfortunately, we're out of time for today. I want to thank both of our speakers, Beth Warren and Parrish Chapman, and of course, to thank everyone for attending the session. You can register for any of the other sessions that are part of the Retail Strategy and Planning series via the website that's at the bottom of this slide, including the very next session, which is going to begin today at 2 p.m. Eastern. That session is titled Inside the Digital Mall, How Brands Can Bolster Their Marketplace Strategy. Again, thanks for joining us today, and I hope everyone has a great day.